Hello and thanks for joining us on Face to Face with Abdul on Universal Heritage Television Nigeria. Today is the 26th day of April, and we are pleading with you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Universal Heritage Nigeria so that you can be getting updates on our broadcast. Alright, today we are dwelling on the burning issue in the state. And what is the burning issue? The burning issue is the fire incident at the illegal refining location or center at Abezi in Ebuma of Ebuma local government in Imo State. That happened on a Saturday when over 150 people were roasted that night. And this illicit business or illegal business has been going on for a while. And one is at loss why the security operatives, the government, couldn't be able to prevent this incident from happening. Nevertheless, what actions that took place there are purely criminal, because what those people are doing are pure sabotage on the economy. But we want to look at this development and other surrounding issues concerning it. So I have two gentlemen who will be analyzing and discussing this issue with me today. And first, by my right hand is barrister as the president Mwa. He's a legal practitioner and hails from the oil producing area of Imo State. Barrister Mwa, welcome to the program.
Thank you, senior comrade.
By my left is another indigent of the oil producing area of Imo State, and Ebuma precisely. He is a Dr. Desmond Okechukwu Echeta. He's a lecturer with the Imo State University for Environmental Imo State University for University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. Dr. Echeta, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Abdul. Thank you for inviting me.
So let's now go to the discussion for the day. Barrister Mwa, you are from the Asobadek area of Okoda in Imo State. And, before now, we've had an incident where the soldier was killed, some youths were also killed, and then villages were burnt. And people were pointing fingers on illegal bunkering activities in that area. So can you just give us an overview of what this business is all about there?
Thank you, comrade, for having me. To start with, the incident you just made reference to happened in my town, in Izombe, Guta LGA. And I wasn't on ground when it happened, but a day after I traveled home and got authentic local intelligence about what actually happened. A kind of altercation arose between some youths who are unemployed, who do bunkering business. One of them allegedly invited the army to help him track the other, who probably ate his money in the line of the business, the illegal business of illegal bunkering. And when the soldiers came, they killed the particular guy. And that raised a very serious eyebrow. The other youths who were with him on ground when he was fired at and he dropped dead demanded explanations from the soldiers, as I was told, and that led to lynching one of the soldiers as a reprisal to what they just witnessed. In as much as I'm not in support, but that was the story. And the soldiers in turn went haywire and burnt an entire village, burnt over 100 houses, dwelling houses. In one of the houses, a lady was in when the fire came on the house, and in fact she died later on as a result of fire burns. She had about 3rd-degree burns, and she couldn't survive it. She gave up. What we are talking about here is the thriving of this illegal business of illegal oil bunkering within the oil producing areas of Imo State. As the name sounds, illegal oil bunkering, the act on its own is a criminal act. It is illegal and no right-thinking human being will support it. But there are questions to be asked. I, as a person, one of the questions is, what has the government of Imo State done to curb that menace? What has the oil producing, the management of Imo State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission done to curb that sabotage? Your guess is as good as mine. Nothing really serious has been done. And then look at where he has gotten us, to an international disaster.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Ejota, let me have your own overview of this illicit business going on in your place.
Well, to be candid, when we talk about bunkering, it simply means oil theft. So the crude theft,
that's the illegal
yes,
bunkering, because bunkering could be illegal.
No, in this context,
when it becomes illegal bunkering, so that we'll clearly define it.
No, once it is bunkering business, in the context it is used, it is illegal, and it is oil theft, stealing of oil. That's the meaning. So you could also bring your ship, siphon the oil, it is still bunkering. So in all ramification, once you talk about bunkering in the Niger Delta, it connotes oil theft. And I do not blame the indigenes of that area entirely, in as much as they have their own blame. But again, the government, both at the national level, at the sub-national level, and the local government level, they all have and share in the blame. Even the international measures, I mean the oil companies, they also share in the blame. But again, we know that it is economic sabotage. Whatever that happens that is not legal means you are sabotaging the economy. But it is important that we lay the background for what has been happening now, or what happened just last Friday. Recall that oil was first discovered in commercial quantity in Ohaji, Ebema, and Uguta. Since 1958, oil was discovered in commercial quantity. And since then till today, you cannot actually say that, yes, this is what the people have benefited for having this natural resource endowment in their area. Nothing to show for it. Over the years, we have seen that the environmental degradation as a result of this oil exploration has left so many of the indigenes poorer than they should have been. What happens there is that if there is rainfall, for instance, you won't be able to make use of the rainwater, even for washing, let alone drinking. Whenever it rains, it becomes acidic rain. The aquatic life is destroyed. The land that used to be highly fertile, in fact, in Ohajebom and Uguta, you can actually cultivate without fertilizer. But as we speak now, even with fertilizer, the yield will be below optimal. The aquatic life is destroyed. If you go to Ohajebom and Uguta, you will have different species of fishes. But today, you hardly can even find fish to eat, let alone having... but you know that area is agrarian economy. Yeah. So we go into fishing, agriculture for living. But today, that traditional life is destroyed. And what do you expect the people to do? Then, you see, ideally, the resources coming from this oil exploration should have been used to empower the people. But today, the empowerment is no longer there. Due to federal government negligence, state government negligence, even the local government negligence. Okay, ISOPADEC was instituted as interventionist agency. What has ISOPADEC done? In fact, if you look at their scorecard, it's below expectation. What they have done is just below expectation. This has culminated into pushing the people to now look for some other ways to survive. And look at where it has landed us today.
Okay, that's heart-wrenching there, but let's go to this business did not just start today, Barrister, like you just said. It didn't just start today. At one point in time, because I know during the Udinwa administration, ISOPADEC was very, very functional, executing a lot of projects in that zone. The youths and the people there were, maximally engaged.
Yes.
So we didn't have much of these deviant actions in place. So now,
right.
At what point did we, start having a change in tide, there?
Yes, you are right in your observation that during the days of Achiku Denwa, ISOPADEC was seen, and not just seen, visibly seen.
Yeah.
Doing
Even
programs, yes, doing programs, youth empowerment programs, youth education programs. You see, scholarships were given, undergraduate scholarships were rolled out, postgraduate scholarships were given, women empowerment packages were rolled out, skill acquisition centers were established. At the end of the duration of the training, youths were given starter packs to start businesses that will fend for themselves and their families. And this, the people welcomed it, and it drastically addressed the problem of unemployment of the oil-producing areas of Imo State. Now, you and I know that the Nigerian economy as it is now is not friendly. And the after effect is that there is pressure on every household to survive, to feed at least 2 times in a day, 2 square meals, not even 3. The resultant effect, like my brother said, the pressure on the ecosystem, the pressure on the aquatic habitat, wherein our people derive their source of livelihood, the pressure on them and the destruction took the people off the farms. This is one of the struggles I've done, and I will not stop. Some years back, it may interest you to know that I started shortly after I came back from England, after I did my master's in international environmental law. It exposed my psyche to the sufferings of my people environmentally as a lawyer. So I started asking myself, so there are international instruments of this nature to check the excesses of the IOCs. I came back, I started a struggle to bring the IOCs to begin to remediate the extent of damages done on the environment. Through the Niger Delta Youth Forum, which I am the state chairman, I wrote several letters to DPR, used my personal funds, got an independent consultant in environmental matters who accompanied me in the struggle. We engaged DPR in the Southeast, in the Owerri office, severally. At the end of the day, they invited the oil company, ADAX specifically. ADAX came, a team of ADAX staff came down from Lagos. The DPR invited me to come with some members of my organization that we are going on the spot assessment to determine some of the claims I've laid. I told him that you've given me a very short period, but allow me to bring in our own consultants, an independent consultant, because we had laid claims of that the oil companies, specifically ADAX, had buried toxic wastes in a lot of locations in Izombe. That now means that samples will be taken and tests will be conducted in the laboratories that all of us will agree to. And when we started it, come on, let me shock you. The betrayal I got from DPR officials in Imo State, the Southeast DPR, Department of Petroleum Resources Office, was something. It was something, I don't know how to describe it. It was mind-blowing. I was like, wow. So the decadence in the system is to this extent that regulatory authorities will begin to sabotage genuine efforts. So back to what we are saying. A situation whereby you see that the aquatic habitat is no longer in existence. The degradation on the environment has led to very low crop yield. Oil spillages everywhere.
My question is more on the isopanet.
I'm coming, sir. I'm coming. I'm laying the foundation. Okay. I'm laying the foundation. And with all these atrocities of the IOCs, now comes the duty of ISOPADEC. As a creation of the law number 6 of 2007, which has undergone several amendments to cushion the effects of those negative vibes coming out from the operation activities of these companies. ISOPADEC was fashioned as an agency to intervene and ameliorate and where necessary completely reduce the sufferings of the people. But this agency, within the first few years of its creation, rose to its game. When Chief Achikudemo was governor, okay, somebody came into existence a day to his handover. So Chief Ikedo Hakim was actually the man whose 4 years saw massive development, saw massive youth empowerment, which reduced crime to its barest minimum. Subsequent governments after then have always used the funds of ISOPADEC
for purposes not intended.
For selfish purposes not intended by the law that created that place. Last year, okay, 2 years ago, when Governor Rocha Sokrocha, or before he handed over, I took up an action against the Imo State government. That was in High Court 11, then presided over by Justice Njaka, wherein I demanded to know the income and the expenditure of ISOPADEC via the Freedom of Information Act. At the end of the day, the court played to the gallery by saying that that the act is a federal law, that in the thinking of the court, it cannot work to compel a state agency to supply such information. That was what we told down that struggle. Okay. Then, in the past 3 years, if I am 4 years down the line, ISOPADEC has completely derailed from its mandate, its statutory mandate. And the resultant effect is that the people begins to struggle to earn a living. And bunkering is one of the after effects. Not just bunkering, illegal bunkering is one of the after effects. Because as a young man, you cannot watch hundreds of millions of dollars being evacuated from your land on daily basis by the IOCs, moving with heavy security detachments, and then you don't have gari to eat. You don't have rice to eat, even one cup. And you see them, and you see an avenue which may be illegal in its nature to make 1 or 2 naira to sustain yourself and your family. And you say you will close your eyes. Well, to me as a person, it's an idea. The illegal oil bunkering is an idea I do not like or support, but
people are forced to.
People are forced to embark in that illegal line of business.
All right, so Dr. Desmond, let me now come to you. River State is our neighbor. Yeah. And just a few months ago, the governor of River State, this weekend, foresaw the rising cases of illegal bunkering in that state and began to In fact, the environmental pollution it was causing in River State. And he started raising alarm. He didn't just stop at raising alarm. He began to confront the security agencies. On national television, he accused them, their commanders, of being part of
collaboration.
The cartel. Yes, he accused them. And then he also set up a task force in River State, mandated all the local government chairmen, to immediately begin to comb their forests. And we saw what was happening. Bunkering centers were busted. Even some government officials who were fingered to be involved in that illicit business were also fired by the government. Even the traditional ruler was deposed in River State because of that. And shouldn't the state government have known? Shouldn't the government have known at that time that we have proximity with River State? If this would have changed the way for River State, they are coming to Imo State because Imo is one of the oil producing areas. In fact, Imo, I understand, has two parts: a section in River State, a section in Imo State. So why did we have to, fold our arms and then it gets to the point where people were roasted before we now become rational?
You see, government, both at the national and state level, will always be reactionary. They wouldn't want to be proactive. And you see, once it is crime, it can migrate from one point to the next point.
But River State in this instance was proactive.
That's what I'm saying. You see, but before the River State government actually started making that effort, they had been experiencing suits in rivers, and you know how long the suit lasted. It was at the point of trying to see what they can do that the governor now had to take the bulls by the horn. Of course, through intelligence gathering, he was able to understand that part of what has been causing the suit is those illegal refining activities. Because if you actually go to where these things are done, a lot of negative externality. So he had to take the bull by the horn. But what I am saying here is that Imo State government, instead of understanding that Imo shares boundary with rivers, and you see through the Orashi River also, you can get to Bayelsa, and all these bunkering businesses are well documented in those areas. So what I'm saying is that through the internet, people could understand what has been happening. And I tell you, if you go to, for example, where this thing happened, those that have learned the act of this local refinery are from Bayelsa and River State. So now we begin to ask, what's the DSS doing? Are they not trying to tell us that they do not know how to gather the intelligence again? And so many persons were actually involved. In fact, you as a journalist, if you are traveling from Owerri to Ebem and you are moving with your private vehicles, you observe over 25 checkpoints manned by the locals. And why they are there is because they know that those that are trucking those crude will be passing. And they get their own share of the luggage. Then the security agencies also, you should now ask questions, refuse to ask questions. And all this continue to thrive in the area. And look at where it has landed us now. But it is also a time bomb waiting to explode. It has happened in Abezi, but we have a lot of those illegal sites scattered, littered all over Ohajebom and Uguta. So government should behave and act like government now, both at the national level and at the sub-national level, and at the state level and the local government. If we have the TC chairman, he should be the chief security officer in the local government, and he should be able to understand what happens in the community, working with the community leaders. What has happened to the surveillance? Ideally, some people were giving contracts to man surveillance on those pipelines. What has happened to that surveillance? So, a lot of questions begging for answer. and all of us must provide the answers. The press is asking the question now.
Okay. All right, let's look at, we said government has been reactionary over this. Let's even look at the reaction if it's enough. The reaction you've seen so far. This incident happened on, it was on Friday night.
Friday night.
Happened on Friday night. And the government of Imo State issued a statement, I think on Monday.
Just yesterday.
Is it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, Monday, we saw the statement issued. And then it does seem that the governor was not around, because the man who went in representation of the governor was the Commissioner for Petroleum, the former Speaker of the Imo State House of Assembly, Chief Abdul. And then yesterday we saw the local government chairman visit the place. You know, all we heard is that one particular Oyuku who operates that base, that center, has been declared wanted. I mean, is it enough? The reaction so far, is it enough where over 100 people were arrested?
My dear brother, by my own judgment, which I believe is not irrational, it is very condemnable that a disaster of such magnitude happened, and the governor of the state is yet, as we speak, is here to visit the site. Sending a commissioner for petroleum, who incidentally is from Ebema, is not enough. If the governor were not to be in the state, as at the time this news broke out, there's a deputy governor.
Yes.
Ordinarily, seeing the deputy governor where the governor was certified to not be on seat is enough to reassure the people that the government is with them. And the deputy governor constitutionally has the mandate to make categorical statements and give marching orders to security apparatuses in the state. Let me tell you, this issue of bunkering, I as a person, I try to follow it up, but to some extent, I think because of my busy engagements, I stopped. If I stay here in this studio and say that all security agencies are complicit, then I'm not being fair to the Department of Security Services, the DSS. I give, in my town in Izombe, there's a time when you get to the village, if you drive down to the village, what you will see on the road will keep you startled. Even with bicycle, with motorcycles, with different types of vehicles, people are trading on second per second. You see the roads very busy. It was the intervention of the DSS that drastically reduced the activities to a barest minimum. I even came to the office one day and saw a lot of trucks lined up. I am aware too, sometimes some people came
we
to...
don't see all these people that are arrested and all that. We don't see them being prosecuted. That's the question. Some of these trucks and all that, at the end of the day, you see them back on the roads again, lifting the same illegal...
Well, that is where I will not... I'm not a spokesman of the DSS, but I know...
This is not just peculiar to DSS. Generally,
I know...
Even the civil defense, if you go to Okigwe Road, a lot of times you see trucks that are parked there, but you don't see people being charged to court, being prosecuted. And those trucks are back again.
Yes, if you say that, I will agree with you that people are not being charged to court, because I'm a practicing lawyer. I practice within Uguta jurisdiction.
You can see how many times you've gone to court.
Yes, in Uguta High Court, in Uguta Magistrate Court. I am yet to see I'm yet to see anybody being arraigned for his activities in illegal oil bunkering within the Ohajebe Muguta axis. I'm yet to see. But I am aware there's a time they swooped on them, and that reduced their movement on the road.
They possibly may have changed
they now got more coded. No,
yes.
Because people accuse some of these security operatives of being in cahoots with them, because they may physically, they may come out and harass them, and then they go, they now go shop and be able to settle with them and do certain things.
And let me say this for emphasis, because we are talking about the government, the response pattern, whether reactionary or proactive. The government of Imo State in this instance is complicit. Because, like you said, so we talked about intelligence gathering. My brother talked about intelligence gathering in this regard. A time came when, some months ago, about 3 young people were killed by unknown people, unknown gunmen, within the Oguta Motel axis. The rumor in the villages had it that they tried to obstruct the movement of these truckers, these illegal oil bunkering truckers. Yeah. And that, of course, when they are moving, that they are heavily armed. And that was what led to the death of those 3 young men from Osobodo specifically. Until today, nobody was held accountable for the murder of those 3 young people. And that begins to, make me think that the government of Imo State, ab initio, has not been serious with curbing this menace that has gotten to this very shameful and embarrassing extent and level.
Okay, Dr. Desmond, let me also ask you again. Like Barrister said, probably the governor was on engagement outside the state when this happened. But in an ideal situation, a catastrophe of this magnitude, when it occurs, we've seen world leaders who are, engaged in some very serious dealings for their nations. When there are tragedies like this, they will cut it short immediately and rush back to base. Empathize with the people, and take care of the situation. Did we see that in Imo State?
You see, I wouldn't want to blame the governor. The governor has aides, and for him to have sent in the commissioner, the honorable commissioner for petroleum, who incidentally is from the area, he should be applauded. It means that the commissioner should be able to brief him on what has happened. So the governor must not be there for maybe government to begin to react. Government had already reacted by sending the commissioner already. But again, you see, when incidences like this happen, you must be briefed properly so that you don't just wake up and you move in there. So the right thing was done by sending the commissioner for petroleum, who incidentally is from the area. I am sure that the briefing which he handed over to the governor actually necessitated why the government had to make that press release yesterday. And we also gathered that he will be visiting the site today for possible mass burial. But again, it is for the people of that area, not just Abezi, the entire Ebwema, because every community in Ebwema got share in that disaster. Every community.
And will you rule out the possibility of even some security operatives who might be working in cahoots with this?
So obviously, just like my brother was saying, all this cannot happen without the security agencies giving a leeway for.
So I'm saying, I dare no possibility that they could also be victims.
Yes, they are. I know of 2 policemen. I don't want to mention their names for some reason. I know of 2 policemen from that locality that died. 2 policemen. So both the civil defense, the military, the police, I don't know about DSS because they'll be in plain clothes, but all of them have been aiding and abetting for that business to continue to go on, thrive in that manner. You need to see. Even when you get to the site where this illegal refinery is taking place, you even see pregnant women, you see children selling granules.
We saw the child bodies of even children.
Yes, selling granules.
So now, will you? Is it possible that if you have 150 people, you know what that number is? Transacting business at one location in the middle of the night. Is it possible that the security agencies
don't have the intelligence
aware of this? And is it possible that the government receives weekly security briefings. Is it possible that the governor, who is the chief security officer of the state, who the box stops on his table, is not aware that this kind of business is going on now in this place?
Those security agents, they were supposed to give all these security briefs and details to the governor. What if they fail to give because they are already profiting from it?
I take exception to that.
So you believe that?
Sincerely,
because I know how their leadership runs, the security leadership. They're always on transfer after 1 year or 2 years or months or thereabout. I think that all of them will, together conspire and ensure that the government doesn't get information.
Let me tell you, it depends on the degree with which you report. Like somebody told me that the military man, the recent or the latest military man in charge of monitoring the area, the commander, whatever they call him, is a no-nonsense person. If he gets you, even those illegal dumps, where by the time they move those products, they have specific dumps where they keep them, maybe for possible evacuation. If that military man gets to know that you have dump anywhere, he will come and burn it down. That's I don't know his name. I am yet to get his name. Yeah. But what I am saying is that the little thing he has done is just little, maybe 1 or 2% out of the 100%. So why that business had continued to move on, thrive, is because the security agencies are already involved. They are involved in it. If they are not involved, that business will not be in that scale.
Yes, Comrade Barrister, let me ask you these two questions. They are like a double barrel question. While some people are saying, look, the youths got involved in this because of economic pressure and unemployment and all that. And the question becomes, do you embark on a suicidal mission because you have no job? Because there's pressure. Now that you're there, I mean, what kind of pressure are you now facing? Does two wrongs make a right? Then secondly, people are saying another challenge we have in this country is a constitutional problem. Those who are leading and who are giving credence to the call by Chief Afabio Lalasan that the election should be postponed and the constitution amended before we move on. Too much powers are in the hands of the federal government. People are saying oil exploration and refining should be removed from the exclusive list. States, as we are saying, encourage modular refineries. If it is removed from the exclusive list, and these powers are devolved, and states can now organize themselves. For instance, if we have ingenious people from the Sopadek area who can, refine these, we'll bring them together, train them, empower them with more technology, and more equipment, and they can refine, for the country and save us from the challenge, because some people are arguing that we don't even have enough for local consumption. That is why we're importing, and the ones we're importing, certain products are not even there, like the AGO, the kerosene, and some of them are not there. So in the midst of this now, what do you think should have been the way out?
First, on the issue of why youth will embark on such dangerous yes, because of the economic pressure. No. Well, as a person, I do not think it is a noble thing to do for a young man to embark on a deadly mission, which he knows is illegal, simply because there is economic pressure. But all fingers are not the same, okay? You must not get your living from an illegality, yes, means or criminality, so to speak. But the truth is, as human beings we are, how do you react when there is enough food in your father's household? You are seeing outsiders coming to carry bags of rice, 2 bags of yam, beans, oil in gallons, and living for their own homes to eat. And you are left with a quarter cup of gari to sip. Definitely you will react. And when you react in a negative way, when that reaction will not be a positive reaction, because already you have been conscripted by pressure. So your reaction definitely will be negative. That is why, in my condemnation of the illegal bunker activities, which puts pressure on the economy of Imo State, because the Imo State Oil Producing Area Development Commission gets a 13% from the volume of crude oil accruing to Imo State. That is what we will get 13%. As our 13%. So if we allow these guys, who are not from these oil thieves, who are not from Imo State, to come and deplete the volume of oil that will be credited to Imo account, then it affects our 13%. So in turn, the money that comes to Isopadec, with which she will be given the 40% to work, becomes whittled down. It puts pressure on the system. So to that extent, I totally condemn the activities, but I'm saying that it's unfortunate they've met their deaths in this kind of very troubling and gruesome manner. But something must be done with immediate effect. In fact, the government of Imo State, if the governor visits, should declare employment issues relating to employment, youth employment, should be declared a state of emergency with immediate effect, so that it will be addressed squarely to avoid this kind of occurrence again. Okay. On the other side of it, for people calling Afe Babalola SAN, with respect to learner's sake, calling for suspension of election activities and amendment of the Constitution first. I think it's time bad. It's really time bad. It's a genuine call to make, because the Constitution of 1999 as amended does not actually, bring Nigeria as a democratic nation when you place her at par with other nations in the Committee of Nations. But calling for such at this time is sycophantic, with respect to the learner's sake. Is sycophantic. That call ought to have come at the beginning of the second term of President Muhammad Buhari.
Well, he said they've been last time.
We have not heard that. We are just hearing that.
Yeah, advocate of sovereign national convention.
We are just hearing that now.
Okay. Dr. Desmond, do you think, even with what has happened, are you expecting any change, any positive change in this matter? Do you think government will begin to live up to our responsibilities now? Because government has our mandate to govern. They are provided with resources, they have security vote and everything, they control the security apparatus and all that. I mean, and every society, there's no society that has no criminal, that has no crime. But the essence of government is to ensure that those things are checked. So, do you think something is going to change now with what has happened?
Obviously, you see.
Remember, we had the Zombe issue, and people thought things were going to change. It didn't change. Now this one has happened now.
Yes, in fact, since oil exploration began in Ohagebo and Buguta, we've never recorded this volume of casualty before now. So it's in the public domain. With the aid of internet, people are reading about it all over the world. So it calls for environmentalists to put pressure on government, and they are already pressured. And I am sure that in the coming days, a lot of advocate groups will be on the state government, so that let us see what we can do to change. There should be a paradigm shift, The environment is destroyed already. Now that the environment is destroyed, what are you going to do to see that those people that are now at disadvantaged position will begin to see something that they will be making up for or with? So as it is now, I am sure that, of course, the president had made statements to this, that's in this regard, and that also may have pushed the governor to say he'll be visiting the site today. We expect that in the coming days, other organizations will at least be on the government at all levels. I keep saying it, at all levels, both the federal, state, and local government. Even community leaders must be part of what is happening. Community leaders, the traditional rulers, youth bodies, the elites in those communities, let there be proper enlightenment. The people should be told about the dangers of what has happened, and for them to also understand that if this continues, then possibly everybody will be consumed one day.
Yeah. Okay, so former Governor Richard Okorocha, the senator representing Oluzo, and Emeka Ihedioha, they've called for a probe over this incident, to follow the culprits so that they can be punished, and they see a way of ameliorating the sufferings of the families that lost their loved ones in this inferno. Yeah. So, what do you stand with them? Do you agree with them?
Yes, in as much as the disaster is not something to be political about, and by my position
does it sound political?
No, I'm coming, sir. I'm saying in as much as it doesn't call for anybody, being political about it. I think as statesmen, they are. Both of them are former governors. I wholeheartedly support the cause they have made. Let me shock you, comrade. In the final analysis, you will see that government officials are complicit in this business, in these activities of illegal oil bunkering in Imo State. Let them invite me anywhere at the highest security echelon. It is an allegation, and I will make substantial revelations.
Well, we have the right to suspect it.
Yes,
we have the right
because a situation whereby the government has in the past created committees on the activities of illegal bunkerers and those giving the responsibilities have never at one point or the other taken anybody to the government to say prosecute him. Till now that we have gotten ourselves to this extent, you see, we are saying 100, and from the account of the villagers, by what I read on the pages of newspapers, and even the interview by Arise Television when they came on ground, we are looking at over 300 people. Over 300 persons.
Really say what it is.
Yeah, because
do you understand? Because some people.
The fire was enormous.
I mean, some that we are taking to the hospital also are giving up. Yeah.
Okay, so we are looking at over 300 persons.
All right, gentlemen, time is not our friend here. I wish we'll have more time to continue with this discussion, but maybe subsequent, because it's an evolving story and development. Maybe as time goes, we'll also have time to continue the discussion. But as we leave, let me just take your parting words, 1 minute parting words.
Yes.
As we leave.
Comrade, on the final note, it is very important that the government of Imo State will bring the IOCs, the international oil companies, even those that are indigenous, operating in these areas. There is need for a summit, for a security summit.
Sit down with the host communities
wherein issues of environmental degradation must be addressed, and issues of unemployment of the youth must be immediately addressed. Okay. Otherwise, we may see worse things. God forbid. God forbid.
Okay, so finally,
I think I support the call for a summit. It's not just security summit. It has to be yes, it has to be holistic. The summit will have to have economic angle to it. What are you going to do to see that these people you have displaced over time, that they are reintegrated into the ecosystem? Yeah. They must have means of livelihood, since you've already destroyed what traditionally they are known for. Ahagebo and Duguta are purely agrarian society, and you have displaced them. So there must be a summit that will address all these challenges.
Right. Okay, that's the much we can go on this program today. I want to thank you for listening. I've been here with Barrister Ezekwesi Mwa, who is a legal practitioner and an indigenous of the oil producing area of Imo State. Thank you once again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay,
my pleasure.
Dr. Desmond Ikechukwu Kecheta, who is also a developmental economist and analyst.
Public sector economist.
Yes, public sector economist, and he's a social commentator and hails from the Ibuma axis of Imo State. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, that is dear viewer. Here will come to the end of today's program. Thank you for listening. We will bring you another edition of this program sometime next week. I am your host, Ako Obidima, and I plead with you to please go and sign up or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Universal Heritage TV Nigeria, so that you can be getting updates of our future broadcasts. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.